What is up? I'm gonna be ranking Demon Souls bosses. It's gonna be a shorter video, but I wanted to do this, and making a list of the separate bosses didn't seem so effective, so I wanted to do this instead, and I can talk about the bosses quickly, and then we can move on to the next list. Jesus Christ, I swear I haven't been drinking. I'm planning on ranking every Souls boss after each game, so Demon Souls, Dark Souls 2, 3, and then Bloodborne, Sekiro, and Elden Ring. So that's what I'm gonna do, starting with Demon Souls, of course. I'm gonna switch over. Like that. Cool, huh? I know. Sometimes you do cool as shit. And as you can see, I have a new microphone. It sounds great, doesn't it? This is gonna be a tough one. Straight off the bat, Dragon God. Yeah, that's gonna be it. The Dragon God is such a bad boss. It's interesting in theory, the hide and seek mechanic, but it just doesn't work. And the resetting of the boss arena every time you die, oh my god, it's just a chore. It's the most tedious, boring boss in the entire game, bar none. Definitely the worst. So I think also that I'm gonna rank the bosses, so the picture to the most left, the leftmost, is gonna be better than the picture to the right of it. So closest to the letter is gonna be the best. Alright, the old monk. I really like this boss, actually. I really do. I don't know what it is. I just like it, man. This is a tough one, because this matters if you're playing offline or online. So if you're playing offline, it's probably like a C, maximum B. But look at this. Bam. I'm gonna put it in A, I'm serious. I love this boss. If you're playing online, you actually face real-ass players, and that's just amazing, right? So that's what I'm gonna do. It's A. False King Allant. Yeah, definitely. False King is just, it's so fun. I know it's a humanoid boss, but it's a challenging boss. It has a lot of background lore to it, and it feels like a decisive battle. So a lot of it is at stake when you're fighting this boss. It's not the hardest boss. It's not the hardest boss, no. But it's the most fun, I think. Let me quickly glance over all the bosses in the game. Yeah, it's the most fun. I love this fight. I don't know if I have something else to say about it. It's just varied, and especially the punishing grab attack. Didn't expect that the first time I played, let me tell you that. Alright, the armed spider. It's gonna be lower end, definitely. I think probably a C. Should it be a C or B? Yeah, it's a C. I think it's too repetitive in what you do. You run in, attack, either block or run back when it does the sweep attack, and then when it does the fire attack, you just run back, rinse and repeat. So it's pretty much the repetitiveness that's killing the boss. The design is pretty cool, and the boss arena is also in a similar way. Pretty cool. Could have been more. The spider could have crawled, and yeah, it could have been more interesting, but it's too much. It's too stationary, I think. I needed more movement in that fight to make it interesting. Then it could have jumped to a B, maybe even A. That's where it's gonna be. Tower Knight. Oh man. Oh man, oh man, oh man. I'm gonna put this in B. It's too much of a gimmicky fight, I think, to make it A. Although the old monk is a gimmick fight too, it's more cool. But after you fought it once, it feels like you fought it all times. And killing all the archers, and it's kind of tedious. If you're unlucky, or if you just suck, you kind of need to redo it, so it's annoying. more than it is interesting. It could have been more interesting if you fight the Tower Knight at the beginning and you do all the shit, and after like it loses half its HP, archers come out and you like, oh shit, you panic, what am I gonna do? It creates a more interesting fight, in my opinion, that it's not there from the start and kind of comes in later. Astraea. Yeah. Yep. I don't care. This is what I think. Just obviously this isn't a ranking of the toughness, the difficulty. It's the ranking of everything all at once. The difficulty, the lore, the story behind it, the setting, everything. So even the music. So Maiden Astraea is one of those fights that it's very clear that when they made Demon Souls, they wanted an experience with the archdemons. They wanted them to be different, be innovative, and they certainly succeeded with many of them, although not Dragon God. Maiden Astraea is the fight that, when I played the original game on the PS3, I talked to Astraea. I ran up to her wanting to slash her, and I talked to her. I'm like, what? I can talk to the boss. She does the iconic line like, take your precious demon soul, and then she kills herself, and I'm like, why? I'm sorry. It's not a fight against Astraea, more Garl, and then kind of turns itself on its head, so it surprises the player. It surprised me because I went in blind the first time and I was like, what the fuck is this? It's an amazing experience, rather, all in all. And that's why it gets on the S, because it's one of the fights I exactly know what I did the first time I played it. I know exactly the setting. I know exactly, I even know what I drank when I fought Astraea. I'm not even kidding. I drank a Monster Absolute Zero, the blue one. So that's how good it was. This this blob, the Adjudicator. I think it's almost either it's a low D or a high D, I meant, or a low C. I still think it's a C at least, very low C, so it's on the lower end spectrum. The boss fight it has some interesting qualities, like you kind of need to figure out how to damage the boss, because you can't just slash at him or do magic at him, takes no damage, and you're like, what the f. It takes a while, probably, for someone going in blind to figure out that you should slash the blade in his stomach, get him to kneel, and then it's not the blob itself that's the boss in actuality. So it has some interesting qualities. That's why I think it still gets the C. It edges out. Oh man, Flamelurker. Ooh, that's a tough one. I kind of don't like the fight. I think it's kind of dumb sometimes, but it's still one of the better ones in the game. That's for sure. I think I'm gonna do this. It's either gonna get up here to A. I still think it's an A fight. Yeah, probably like that. Keep in mind that the old monk is online only. That's why it's ranked so high. But Flamelurker, it's a challenge. It's one of the more challenging bosses in the game. There are no gimmicks, it's just a straight up fight. It takes a while to beat, even when you're kinda powered up. So it's a very tough fight. I don't like the, what do you say, skittiness? Can you say that? Oh, it just jumps around and it's kind of annoying more than it's interesting. That's why I kind of, I don't know. It's still a good fight, a nice experience and very challenging fight also. So yeah, I think it's still an A. It still edges out a little bit over B. So the Storm King. Look at this. It's gonna end up in B before Tower Knight. Because even though it's not a tough fight either, but that's the first time they did the Storm, the gimmick sword that can damage the boss, yada yada. Before they did Jorm. So I still think it's an interesting one. Well worthy of just the spectacle. That's what I think it's the most important aspect of the fight. It's also kind of unforgettable. The Raging Storm adds to the atmosphere of the fight. It's a good fight. Memorable, very memorable. And the Maneaters. The Maneaters, whatever you like to say. Can I do this? Can I actually do that? Maneaters, it's a tough fight, especially if you're not playing a sorcerer of some kind. You're not playing with magic. If you're going straight melee, it's a tough one. Especially if you're going in blind, because you don't expect the other one to come flying in after the first one's HP has dropped a bit. Or is the set time? I'm not sure. But it's kind of hard. Still, I think it's too wacky. It's kind of... The fight is broken. The AI is very strange and jittery. I do like the addition of the danger of falling off the boss arena. So that kind of brings it up a notch and evens out a bit. Now I'm gonna do this. There we go. Now, this feels better. So, let's move on to the Penetrator. It's not a tough fight, especially if you do the quest line with... Oh, I forgot his name. But he comes in like when you've started the fight. Comes in and will be like, oh, I'm gonna fight you too. Makes the fight a cakewalk. So it's not a hard fight, really. But I think it's the first instance of the... it has the same feeling like Artorias did. It feels like the first Artorias character. Does that make sense? I hope it does. I think I'm gonna do that. Yeah, I always love to do the fight, especially if you're playing solo. That just ups the fight another level. I highly recommend it if you don't intend to do your Vanguard. Okay, so I think this is guided, or it's supposed to be the first fight, the tutorial area fight. It's fair, but I still think the question is if it's a D or a C. I kind of think it's a D. I think it's a very bad fight. Obviously, it kind of created the Asylum Demon. So creds for that. But as a standalone fight, it's bad. Doesn't really serve any purpose. I've beaten him. It's an okay fight, but on the lower end. Now this can be controversial. Yeah, I love Fool's Idol. I know it's a gimmicky fight with the clones and all. Especially if you pair it with the paralyzing traps, they're annoying as all hell. Just the arena, just the atmosphere in the fight is amazing. I don't know, I just like the fight. I enjoy going up the slowly increasing stair and coming to church. I like it. I really like it. Dirty Colossus. Well, I recently did top 10 worst bosses in Souls. And even though Leechmonger didn't get a chance to appear on that list, I mean, Dirty Colossus is just a D. No matter how much I want it to be a C, it's not. It's uninspired. It's way too easy. Even if you go there almost immediately, it's way too easy. The only interesting thing about it is the mechanic with the swarm of flies, I think it's, that latches onto you and you can run into the fire to get them off you. I think you can use Turbantine to get them off you as well. Anyway, I think it's a lackluster fight, very unforgettable. Leechmonger I'm still gonna put in C. It's a bit more interesting, but not by much. It's like this. It's so very close. Leechmonger is also an unforgettable fight that, yeah, it's just not fun. If you go there even remotely, if you don't go there immediately, if you go there like after you've done 1 or 2 stones, it's just a cakewalk. Put on fire, just whack it. You don't even need to have any strategy, so it's way too easy. But then it's kinda annoying too with the healing of the leeches. Yeah, I think I've talked enough about this boss, it's very boring. Blind man. I know that's not the real old hero. I think it still deserves like... I still think it deserves a B. It's an okay fight. There are better fights in the game, but it's good. It's good. Nah, it doesn't deserve a B, I think. I'm gonna be real. Let's drag it down. There we go. A C. It's almost a B, but not exactly. I like the gimmick in this fight of the blind old hero. That's probably the only good thing about the fight. Otherwise, especially if you know the trick, you can just equip Thief's Ring and whack at him and it's cakewalk. Or you can be a sorcerer and just one-shot him. Not interesting. Not interesting at all. At least this Phalanx, the first boss that you need to do first, kind of goes into C. There are worse fights in the series. The Witches of Hamwick, for example. But Phalanx is not a tough fight. It's just very... If you go in blind, if you don't know anything about the Souls games, and you go in blind, and you find this boss, you're gonna get panicked, pretty much. Because you can't really hurt the boss, and you're like, what the F am I going to do? But hopefully, you picked up some firebombs, and you can just chuck them at the boss. Realize its first weakness, otherwise you can try to split them up to get to the core. It's an okay fight, it takes a while. But this is my final ranking, I think. Only False King Allant and Maiden Astraea deserves to be the S ranking. Old Monk is obviously, once again, online. Otherwise it would have been a low E or a high C. If I would count the actual fight against King Allant, I think that fight would end up being like in the C tier. It's not an interesting fight in terms of difficulty or anything else, but in terms of lore and story it's very interesting, so definitely a low C at least. But yeah, what do you think about my list? Are yours the same? Maybe you think my Old Monk or Fool's Idol is placed like an insane man? I might be, who knows? But let me know down in the comments and subscribe for more. Keep watching, and more of these lists are on the way. So, thank you for watching. Bye.